that Jesus was born in a manger or a stable. Because we're talking about an animal house, the house of the animal wheel, the zodiac. And the first virgin month of the zodiac is the house of Aries, which is the first 30 degrees of the animal house. And that's exactly why Jesus began at the age of 30 or 30 degrees. You see, this time of the year is known as the ancient equinox, known as the spring or the autumnal equinox. And this is when they say that Jesus was born. And this is exactly why they call Jesus the Lamb of God, because he's born in the month of March, which is Aries, the month of Mars. And that's exactly why Mary is named Mary, because she's named after the red blood of Mars, which is why she's called Bloody Mary, who is the mother of the newborn baby son, the baby lamb, Jesus. And that is exactly why Mary had a little lamb. So now you know the truth as to why Jesus was born in a manger, which is simply an animal of the zodiac wheel. And that is what the word zodiac means, the animal wheel, like when you go to the zoo. And notice that we're talking about horned animals because Jesus is being portrayed as the ancient horned one. So now you'll understand why they are portraying Jesus in the Shroud of Turin with the horns on his head. If you look closely, you'll notice there's antlers or horns poking up from the head of Jesus, which represents the ancient horned one. And yes, this is exactly why the Shroud of Turin is named after the Taurus bull. And if you do not believe me or believe me, then perhaps you can explain the coat of arms from the city of Turin, which is named after the Taurus bull. Gee, what are the chances that the son of God, Zeus, was related to the bull? Which is why the Bible has the story of the Son of God, who is related to the bull. Which is why both Zeus and Jesus have the same etymology. So now you understand why they tell you that Jesus began his journey or his ministry at the age of 30. Because each house is 30 degrees, or 30 days like in the lunar month. And this is why it is called the ministry of Jesus, because Min is the fertility moon god. And you see that Jesus begins at the age of 30, or the first 30 degrees, which is actually the second house, or the Bible, the house of Taurus, the bull, which is just coded language for the bull god moon, Sin or Min. And this is where the word ministry comes from the bull moon god, Min. And this is exactly why we have a minister. He comes from the fertility of the bull moon god, just as governments have prime ministers. Which reminds me of the word sinister, which means the fertility of the moon god Sin. Which is why we have crooked or sinister senators. You know, the sin of Taurus, the moon, and the fertility bull god, Taurus, the bull. The bull and the moon, the old senator or the minotaur. You see the sun of the bull, the fertility horns of the moon, as well as the solar disk of the sun. And this is why the sons of the bull god are Zeus and Jesus, who happen to be, etymology speaking, the dios, or the two, the separation, the diagonal, which is why they always show Jesus as the dios, the two halves, the picture of the red and the blue, or summer and winter. And the red and the white simply represent the red-hot summer and the cold ice of the winter. So the struggle between Jesus and Satan is nothing more than the struggle between light and dark. And this is why the right is the light, which is the correct way, as in Jesus, the Sun God. And of course, the left side is the wrong side, or the dark evil side, which is represented by Satan, sin, or Lucifer. And notice the hands of Jesus. Notice one is up and one is facing downwards, as above, so below, exactly like the Baphomet, which represents day and night, or the left and the right, which is exactly why our money or our coins come in silver or gold, silver for the moon and gold for the golden sun, which are known as precious metals, or a chemical element. And they're printed at the mint and deposited in the depository, which is known as the bullion depository. So we have the gold bullion coin and the silver bullion coin, which of course is known as change. So you see, the bullion coin is the bull and the lion of the sun and the bull of the moon. And notice that they use the goddess who bears the torch to the underworld, as well as the buffalo bull. And of course, the euro puts the two together as Europa, the goddess who rides the beast. And notice that it's silver and gold for the silver of the moon and the gold of the sun. And where is all the gold bullion kept? At Fort Knox, which is in the center of the labyrinth of the double cube, or the octagon, which is the fort of the Knight of the Ox. The goddess Nyx, or Nox, is where we get our word night, the goddess of darkness and chaos, and the goddess of the light of the night. And of course, she's connected with hell, which is known as Tartarus, the Taurus bull. So now you know the truth behind the Nyx Bull Synergy software. And by the way, notice the tank on top of the Fort Knox sign. And I just wanted to share with you that the word tank is the word Ankh with the T, or the cross, which is the bull spine. And of course, a tank is big and bulky, which comes from the big, bulky bull. And notice the pentagram within the circle, which is the star, or the Ishtar, the goddess Isis, who has the Ankh as her symbol, as well as the pentagram, or the star, the Ishtar, the star of witchcraft and Wicca, which is also used by the Satanists, as well as the governments, and of course in the Bible. And by the way, would you believe that Fort Knox is in the town of the Bull, which is called Bullitt in Kentucky County? And of course, the big, bulky tanks have a big cannon, which is a phallic symbol of the maypole, or the penis. And the phallic shaft of the can, or the cannon, comes from ancient Cana Phoenicia, which is where they worshipped the phallic pillar, or the phallic pole. And this is where we get our candle, which is the fire fertility of the Can of El. So now you understand the sex magic behind the cannon and why it shoots out projectiles and missiles. And the bigger the cannon, the better the tank. And that's exactly why women love big cannons, which is also why women love a big gun barrel, which is a phallic symbol. And of course, the bull is behind the big, mean, sharp, killing torpedo. Did you know that we get our word judge and judicial from the Judeo